It's been a funny old time over the last few months, hasn't it? Stressful, really. You may remember I spoke on this podcast in February and March about how I'd got a bit ill and so had the rest of the family as well. We all kind of had the same thing, and it obviously coincided with the start of the COVID outbreak, and we were thinking, I wonder if this is that or not. And then what I haven't spoken about on the podcast is we went for antibody tests fairly recently. And it's very weird because my other half came up positive and I came up negative for antibodies. And you just think, how can we be living in the same house and have the same symptoms and get ill at the same time at exactly the time when apparently loads of people in London had it? One of us positive for antibodies and one of us negative. And actually then I went down a proper rabbit hole. And it turns out that perhaps only as few as 10% of people make antibodies, because the rest of us either have antibodies which are too weak to show up in the current test, or we fight off the virus with T cells instead, because I'm pretty sure I've had it, especially if she's had it. Anyway, this is the podcast all about energy, vitality and motivation. If you're listening for the first time, hello, I'm Tony Wrighton, this is ZestoloQi, and there is a reason for talking about this antibody test, because I do think that it has been stressful and it continues to be stressful, and I kind of oscillate between really quite enjoying what's been going on and the spare time and lots of extra cooking, and obviously it's been quite nice weather, and then sometimes I feel quite depressed. And I'm walking down by the river, by the Thames in London at the moment, and it's just a lovely summer's day, and yet there's people wearing masks and not looking very happy about that fact. So it is very strange at the moment, isn't it? And you wonder what's going to happen as we go to winter and next year and when it's all going to end. So on that slightly downbeat start to this podcast, there is a relevance for mentioning all this, because I do think that we want to be focusing on our wellness as much as possible. And I've been learning Qi Gong for a couple of months now, and it's made a massive difference to me. I've been doing it with the excellent Arron Collins-Thomas, who is my guest on ZestoloQi today. And I love it, I have to say. I can't quite explain why it makes me feel so good, but it does. I think it's something to do with the breathing. It's just when you kind of really breathe deeply, you feel better and get warmer and feel more present. That seems to be going on for me anyway. Arron is a leading personal trainer and a lifestyle coach. He's been doing that for 14 years, works for Soho House, trains celebrities, but he's also very well trained in this ancient art and science of Chinese medicine and Eastern wellness practices. He's been doing this for many years. He trained with the Long White Cloud Qigong Center, and I did his 12 Rivers course. I've wanted to do a Qigong course for years, but they're always like a kind of, you have to sign up for 6 Tuesdays in a row at 7:30 in the evening in your local village hall. And that doesn't really work with my schedule. I tend to work a lot of evenings, slightly less at the moment, but I tend to work a lot of evenings, and it never worked. So when I was able to do a week's course on Zoom with Arron at a decent time in the day, it seemed to work much better. And I think you might enjoy it as well. That's enough of antibody testing and negativity. I do think that Qigong might be relevant because I'm certainly feeling more relaxed and looser in my body since I've been doing it, and I wonder what effect it's having on my psychology as well as my physicality as well. Here he is, Arron Collins-Thomas on ZestoloQi. Okay, well, Arron, we're recording now. Thanks very much for arranging to do this. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've been looking at you far too much over the last few weeks, because obviously I've taken your course, and then since then I've been following your videos. I love it. It's just so, it's such a good form of exercise, and it's so meditative as well. So I might be a bit of a fanboy in this interview. That's all I'm trying to say.
That's great, because at the moment it's mainly fangirls. I've got quite a demographic of women, so it's nice to have some men championing the cause for Qigong as well.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good place to start, because on my course I'm sure you were completely sold out. Certainly every slot in the Zoom screen was sold out. And I think there were 23 women and 2 men. But it's actually a very masculine practice.
Yeah, it's quite strange. I mean, the form does feel very kind of kung fu-esque, kind of very strong postures. Some of the stances are quite solid, quite firm. As you said, I think in an email you sent me, you said they feel like warrior kind of poses, and they do. But I think because of the way that a lot of women are generally more into healthcare at the moment, I think, I suppose this might be a generalization saying that, but a lot of women are into healthcare, and that's how they found Qigong practice, through the health side of things.
Yeah.
Whereas it does have that more physical stance as well, which we're trying to get forwards to show more men that you can get quite physical practice from it, as I'm sure you felt.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I mean, what are you supposed to get from a Qigong practice? Because I know what I get, but I want to hear it from you.
I mean, what you're supposed to get from it, well, the practice that you did with me was something called the 12 rivers. And from that practice, there is a whole heap of things you're supposed to feel. I mean, number one, you're supposed to feel an energy increase. So your Qi, your life force, will improve. Generally, it's something that's created to improve health, all aspects of health. If you think about an ailment, there's nothing that Qigong wouldn't help. We're moving and we're breathing. That's the most important bit. So if we're breathing well, we're influencing how the body's dealing with stress. We're improving the function of your cells. So on a basic scale, you're just trying to feel better, feel more alive. But then we can go deeper and deeper into, actually helping heal health concerns and emotions. As we did on the course, we talked a lot about the emotions and how we can help heal those. And then other things that a lot of people have been emailing me the last few weeks: improved sleep, improved digestion. There's a lot of people messaging me saying their arthritic pain is going away. They spend a lot of their day pain-free now. There's a whole heap of things that are being improved.
Yeah,
so,
it's very hard to. I think a couple of the reasons that I find it really helpful, and I also find it quite hard to explain why I find it helpful, is I'm someone who spends a lot of time in my head. And so any practice which kind of gets me out of my head and into my body is good. So it's obviously a very physical practice, but it's also so breath related. And the moment your mind wanders, your breath goes and you've lost it. You have to stay focused in the moment. But for that very same reason that I spend a lot of time in my head, and I tend to be quite a kind of, well, in NLP terms, we'd call it auditory digital. I tend to try and kind of solve things by kind of my brain whirring around until it kind of overheats, really. I find it hard to logically explain why it works. I find it hard to, all that stuff about the, people's arthritic pain, or, is it some kind of long-term niggle that they've got that has calmed down in some way. I actually do feel much freer and looser since I've been doing it. But logically, I can't quite explain why that is. Can you explain that logically to a left-brain person like me?
I'll try my best. So obviously connecting your body to the breath is really important. We know how important breath work is in the body. And if we use the breath to help reduce the effect of stress on the body, that obviously can have mass benefits, like reducing inflammation and just generally improving the energy of the body and how your cells function. That's kind of a very basic side of what the breath is doing. But the movements in particular are about balancing the postures of the body. So when we sit at our desk in potentially a bad posture, that's going to create stress on our musculoskeletal system. It's going to put stress on our nerves and on our joints, and mean that our bodies aren't functioning very well. So the 12 moves that we learned in the sequence with me, their aim is to balance the postures out, realign the musculoskeletal system, take the pressure off the whole system so that it can function better. So a lot of these aches and pains and niggles that people are saying are gone from their shoulders and things, it's where their posture is starting to realign and the pressure is being taken off their joints. And so their bodies are just being able to perform properly. And then the other part of that is that we use the moves to go deep into the organs. So we're massaging and energizing organs. So we're helping the organs to detox. We're helping them to perform better. And if the organs are performing better on a whole, if our insides are all feeling and working better, then our body is going to be feeling and working better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. And one of the things I love about Qigong is the thought that the people that used to practice Qigong many centuries ago didn't have fancy factories and pharmaceuticals and every other kind of facet of modern pharmaceutical or over-the-counter medicine that we've got, but they did have the benefit of hundreds, possibly thousands of years of experience in kind of honing this system. How did Qigong come about? How long has it been around for? I know that's like a massive question, but I'd love to have a little kind of potted history, because I think I'd quite geek out on that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's between, I think, 10,000 and 5,000 years old. They can't plant a number on it, but they found drawings and things that suggest it's plus 5,000 years old. So that's a long time it's been around. And it was created by Taoist masters. So when they were sitting for hours and hours of meditation, their bodies would get very, very stiff and very, very sore, right, and very tight, because they're sitting in certain positions. So it allowed them to create this dynamic meditation, meant that when their muscles were tight, they could get up and stretch them out and move them without breaking their focus. So that was where it was first kind of designed for these guys who are Taoist masters, and then they moved it into simpler practices that was digestible for more people, basically.
Yeah. And how did they, so over those 5,000 years, they've kind of honed this practice. How long a process must it have been to discover that a certain movement relates to a certain meridian line that relates to a certain part of the body, that relates to a certain time of day? All of those things coming together. I mean, that's just, it's a science, isn't it? But it must have taken thousands of years to establish.
Thousands, yeah. I mean, it baffles me still how they created that, how they did that, and how we've come so far from that now. But many people are journeying back to that method. I mean, Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years, and Qigong is a form of Chinese medicine. It's one of the kind of pillars that they use to help heal people. And so how they figured that all out, they were just very, very connected to nature. They watched animals move. A lot of the moves are connected to animals and how animals will move. So they observed nature, and they paid attention to what was going on. And they didn't have like all the influences that we have now. I think we've got a lot of distractions in our lives, but also we have medicine and things to heal us. Whereas they didn't have so much of that. There was obviously herbology, so they used herbs to heal, but they had to do it naturally. So they were much more connected with their surroundings than we are now.
Yeah, I mean, some people might say, yeah, but we live much longer now than they used to live. So maybe the modern approach of sitting around but taking a pill every once in a while is the right one.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a tricky subject. I think, we're potentially keeping ourselves alive longer than maybe our bodies will allow sometimes. I mean, joints start to go and bodies start to fail, but we manage to keep ourselves going. Whereas, going back thousands of years, we would have been got by illnesses or war or, just nature would have got us by that point. So,
yeah, actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of Chris Ryan. He's a great author that I think, bearing in mind your kind of specialist subjects, I think you'd really like. He wrote Civilized to Death and Sex at Dawn is his very famous one. And he's all about, he's an anthropologist. He's all about a very primal way of living. And he actually says that the 5,000 years ago, our kind of caveman ancestors actually had a lifespan that tended to be similar to ours. It was not kind of half the length of ours, as has been suggested, although infant mortality was sadly much higher. Once you got beyond a certain age, you were likely to live just as long as we do now, and with far less aches and pains. So that's quite an interesting kind of contrasting viewpoint. I think I want to talk about all sorts of things in terms of 12 rivers, but I think it'd be quite nice to tell you about a couple of things that I've enjoyed doing the course with you. And maybe we could, if people are listening to this and they're able to do a little bit of movement, maybe we could talk them through one of the moves, and just something they can do now, really. Because, that'd be quite good. The first thing that I've enjoyed is you do a warm-up, which is kind of 4 or 5 minutes. Now, this reminds me of watching years ago a documentary with Bruce Forsyth, and he used to do these weird movements every morning, and it was kind of seemingly completely crazy, but it obviously kept him very supple because he was presenting on TV well into his 80s. But even just the warm-up that you do, that is almost the best bit of the practice for me. Leaves me feeling so much, and the crunches and the clicks that come out of my body when I do it. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just don't spend time moving every joint of their body. And that's what the warm-up is designed to do. We move every single joint all the way from the feet up to the neck. And a lot of people, we don't do that in everyday life. When we warm up for a workout at the gym, we probably just warm up the muscles we're about to use and then we go into it. and joints get stiff, joints get tight. But from a Qigong point of view, the reason why we're warming up every joint is that joints is where energy tends to stagnate. So by moving every joint, we ensure there's a nice smooth flow of Qi around the body so that our energy can flow smoothly and uninterrupted. So we start at the toes and move up. And another nice part about that is that when do you ever spend a few seconds thinking about each joint? You're breathing and you're slowing the body down. You're thinking about how each joint feels. And does my left ankle feel different to my right ankle? Has it improved from yesterday? How's my hips feeling today? Oh, what's going on there? Maybe a bit of a niggle. I'm going to spend a bit longer warming that up. That time connecting back into your body is really, really important. When we're doing the Qigong moves, we are thinking about every part of the move to influence the energy flow. Yeah. So we need to be aware of how everything feels before we start.
Yeah. So, obviously this podcast is about energy. That is the reason I started this podcast. And just explain how Qi can get blocked.
So, joints, if they're tight, can block the way that Qi moves through the body. So Qi generally moves around through our meridians, our channels, or these, as we refer to them, our rivers in the body.
Qi is energy, is it?
Yeah, Qi is our life force. But I suppose Qi can be looked at in a number of different ways. It's the heat in our body. That's an energy we've created. Movement. Even when we think we're still, there's always movement in our body. All these cells are working on a micro level. So there's always a movement inside our body. And electricity is flowing through our body as well. So it's a combination of all those things that create our life force, that create our Qi, our energy. And so, when we've got these channels and meridians that flow through our body, and if there's a blockage in there, so if we are ill, for example, that may create a blockage in our Qi because that organ might be holding an illness.
Right.
So we need to smooth out how the Qi moves. Or if we've got an injury that may have broken the meridians, that might break how the Qi flows around the body as well. So there's lots of different ways that Qi can get blocked. But the idea of the Qigong is that we smooth the flow of Qi and we try and move it through the blockages so that your energy can flow smoothly all around the body to everywhere that needs it.
Yeah. It's the life force one is interesting. Lockdown's been such a weird time, hasn't it? And it's probably been a good time for you because I couldn't have taken your course if it was in person, but because it was on Skype or Zoom and it was 1 hour a day and I was locked down, it was very easy for me to do. And I've wanted to do a Qigong course like that for absolutely years, but I just haven't been able to find something that wasn't in the evenings and I wasn't busy or working or whatever it might be. And one of the other things that's been good about lockdown for me has been the fact that I've really been working out every single day. And I've found on some days, one of the things that's not great with me is my circulation. But after I've done your Qigong workout, I am much warmer and there's a mental connection as well. I feel more present and relaxed than I did before I did that workout, which I suppose isn't unique and is all related to that life force, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a personal trainer. That's why I first kind of got into fitness. Been a personal trainer for 15 years and been Qigong instructor with that for 8. And I regularly do Qigong before I work out to connect me and my body. We live such hectic lives. We're always rushing around. But even when we go to the gym, we rush in there. We don't really do a warm-up properly. We just get into our weights and then we leave again. So I do a bit of Qigong to connect my mind and my body, to get my body warmed up, to get everything flowing. And again, with that, like I said about the warm-up earlier, it allows me to figure out, oh, hang on, this side of my body isn't ready. I'm going to be a bit imbalanced if I do the weight like this. What do I need to do to correct that? So it gives you a chance to, center yourself and then connect with your energy so then actually you can put more into your workout and have a better practice.
Yeah. So what do you think about, a few days ago I ate something a bit dodgy and I've kind of not been feeling at my best the last few days. And the only exercise I've been doing has been Qi Gong. And actually it feels like a good workout, but is it enough on its own?
It is enough. It depends how you do it. And it depends what you want the Qigong for. You can do it on a small scale and just use it for health and vitality, just moving Qi around the body and energizing your organs. But you can go deeper and deeper into the postures and work a bit harder, like lower into the horse stance, for example, for yourself, and work a bit harder into the moves and maybe go a bit faster. And you can create it into a bit more of a metabolic workout. I did a session on Saturday just gone, and it was the summer solstice.
Oh,
and
great.
We focused on, bearing in mind it's the heat of the height of the summer, we focused on the fire elements in Chinese medicine. That's to do with summer. So we did these moves and we went really deep into them. And at the end, everyone in the class and myself, we were all sweating profusely, but we felt really energized and super pumped by it. But it was a really good workout because we went deep into those fire elements.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I hope at some point I can take one of your classes in person. I presume you do kind of retreats and workshops and stuff like that in person, just not necessarily at the moment.
Sadly, not at the moment. Zoom retreats, that's all we've been doing recently.
Zoom retreats, yeah.
Retreats. Yeah, looking to get some physical retreats up and running it towards the end of the summer if we're allowed to.
If we're allowed to, yeah. Yeah, it might be outside, yeah. Just interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that it is brought to you by Magnesium Breakthrough, my sponsors in July. Most supplements only contain 1 or 2 forms of magnesium, when in reality there are at least 7 that your body needs and benefits from, and that is where Magnesium Breakthrough come in. And I've been very excited to partner with them for the last couple of months. It is the ultimate magnesium supplement, and I've also been really pleased that quite a few of my friends have got in touch with me and said, I've got involved and purchased some. It's definitely the best that I've kind of seen or experienced with all 7 forms of this mineral. And in fact, it's been doing really well for the company that makes it, Bioptimizers, who I partnered with earlier in the year as well. If you're in the UK and you fancy 7 different types of magnesium in one little tablet, you can head to bioptimizers.co.uk and use the code ZestoloQi10. So it's Bioptimizers with a Z, .co.uk. Use the code ZestoloQi10. If you're in North America, go to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology. It's a dedicated page just for me and Mag Breakthrough. So magbreakthrough.com/Zestology. On either site, use the coupon code ZestoloQi10 and you'll be getting a nice little chunk off as well. It's the most effective magnesium supplement I've tried. It's definitely important in summer as well, when we're more likely to kind of be deficient in these minerals and we're sweating loads. And say goodbye to having 7 different bottles of magnesium to get the complete dose. So if you're in the UK, go to bioptimizers.co.uk and use the code ZestoloQi10. If you're in North America, go to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology. Now back to the show. Cool. So what is the 12 rivers and how did that come about? And then let's pick one of the postures and do it.
Okay, so 12 rivers. So in Chinese medicine, there are 12 main organs in the body that they associate with. Okay, so each of those organs has a channel that runs through the body that's associated with it, which we would call a river, but that's your acupuncture channel. And so these rivers flow into the other in a very specific order. And if you do the 12 moves in that order, you promote balance and health in the body. So each move works on a channel, works on an organ, and works part of an emotion as well. So we're clearing emotions, we're moving the energetics of the organ, and we're moving energy and qi around our body so that we can be healthier and more balanced. The idea of Qigong is that we're trying to return the body back to homeostasis, looking for that balance, the yin and the yang. So all of the moves are about promoting balance in the body. So one posture will complement the next posture, balancing out our joints, balancing out our muscles, and making sure that we are kind of in good health and good shape.
Yeah. So of the 12 rivers, I don't think there's any moves I don't really like, and there's a lot that feel particularly good. What would be kind of an easy one to describe to people? That they might be able to do while they're listening along, and then what it relates to, what organ it relates to, what time of day it relates to, what part of the body it relates to.
Yeah, we'll think about a simple-ish one. I think we'll go for one called which is the stomach move, and it's one arm raising. Hopefully you remember that one.
Yeah.
And
I like that one. It feels good, and I have traditionally had problems with my stomach, so maybe it particularly kind of resonates with me, that one. Yeah,
when people do the moves, they will find that and a lot of people don't kind of trust it at first, but when they get into it, they realize actually there is a real connection between the move and whether they like it or not, and whether there's something going on energetically in their body. And those moves that you don't particularly like so much, you need to persevere with a little bit extra, because that's maybe what the body's struggling with or what the body's lacking.
Yeah. What's the goose one? I don't like that one very much. That's a tough one.
There's one called the wild goose beats its wings. That's our move for the heart.
Yeah.
That's to do with joy and the emotion of joy.
That's a difficult one.
So if we think about the stomach move, so the time of day that the stomach has got most of its energy in the body is between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. So that's the most energizing time for the stomach. And so that would be for a lot of people when you'd have breakfast. So that kind of makes a bit of sense. The emotion that's connected to the stomach is the emotion of worry. Okay. So you've probably heard people say, I was sick with worry. That comes to your stomach. Or when you're nervous, you might have butterflies in your stomach. That kind of makes sense. That's that connection of the emotion to the organ. And the organ is part of the earth element. Okay, so there's 5 elements in the body. We have earth, fire, water, wood, and metal. And this is part of the earth element. Okay, and each of the elements have a different emotion that's connected to them. So this is the one to do with worry. So this is quite an easy one to describe compared to all the others. But they're all quite a lot detailed. So this is just a basic version of it. But I'm going to stand up and do it because it'll help me to describe what I'm doing.
Yeah. Anyway, it's difficult because people are listening to this rather than watching. So I believe in your powers. I've taken your course. I know how good you are. I believe in your powers to describe this.
Thank you. So we're going to go with your feet just an inch apart. What I want you to do first is try and feel the channel before we do any moves. So I want you to tilt your head back as far as you feel you comfortably can, and have your mouth closed, and see if you can feel a bit of tension coming from the side of your mouth and down under your neck to your top of your chest. So if you feel that bit of tension, that's the top of our stomach channel. The stomach channel also comes down the outside of our leg and comes down to the foot. So if you go up on your toes slightly, you might feel the activation of the muscles on the front of your leg, of your lower leg. These muscles massage the stomach channel. Okay, so that's the stomach channel on our feet and the stomach channel that we're also feeling on our face. The next thing I want you to do is feel the stomach. So we know our stomach is just in the middle of our abdomen, just below our ribs. So focus on what it would feel like if you had stomach pain or stomach cramps. You'd kind of bend in from the stomach slightly if you're holding a pain there. So when you bend in there, you might feel it pull in on the stomach itself. Okay, so we're looking at pulling into that stomach when we do the move. So now we're going to try adding the arms to that. So feet just an inch apart. Take your left hand, so your palm is facing up at about hip height. We're going to sweep your right arm over the top of your head, bringing your hands together around about the middle of your stomach. So your palms should be facing each other a couple of inches apart in the middle of your stomach, and pull into your stomach slightly so you feel it, the tension on the stomach itself. Then you're going to push your left hand, the palm, to face the floor, and your right hand, we're going to push the palm up as we stretch your right arm above you and your left arm down, so you should get a nice stretch at the body. I want you to now tilt your head back and look up at your top hand. We're going to change arms, so we're going to sweep our arms round in a big circle, so our left hand comes up above our head and our right hand comes down to hip height. Crunching our arms back down into our center, crunching into the stomach slightly. Push your right hand towards the floor, left hand towards the ceiling, head back, and feel it stretch all the way through the front of the body. Now we're going to advance it slightly. We're going to sweep our arms round again. We're going to breathe in as we sweep our arms round. Hands come to meet in the center of the body. This time, as we stretch our arm up and down, we're going to go head back, and then we're going to try and go up on our toes. We're activating the channel on the legs. So breathe in as we sweep our arms round. Come down. Bring our hands together in front of our abdomen. Push the hands apart, reach up, head back, up on your toes as you breathe out. One more time each side. We're going to breathe in as we sweep round, crunching into the abdomen. Breathe out as we split our arms apart. Look up on your toes if you can. One more time. Breathe in, sweep your arms round. Crunching into the abdomen. Breathe out as you stretch your arms up on your toes. There we go. That's stomach move.
Nice.
Yeah. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that at home and could actually understand what I was trying to describe. It's the first time I've done it blind as such.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm in my new little podcast corner in the spare room, and actually if I was to stand up doing that, I would have ripped the headphones out of the laptop. So I had to do it kneeling down. But even then I still felt good, and the breath is the secret for me. That's the bit that's just so great. And maybe I don't breathe deep enough normally or something like that. I don't know. But I know it all works together, but that's probably the bit that really works for me.
Yeah, I mean, the breath is unbelievably powerful, and it's something we just neglect. We just take it for granted that we can all breathe. And I'm a breathing coach as well, so I've done breathing courses at my gym, and mainly for people who don't sleep well. So I took this group of clients of mine to the gym, and the next morning I got an email from this lady's husband saying, "Whatever you're doing to my wife, keep on doing it. She's had the best night's sleep ever, and she's in a great mood today."
Oh, great.
2 days later, she called me up and said, "Right, I've got a group of 15 of my friends. When can we see you? We're all going to do a breathing session because all my friends don't sleep very well either." And so I did this mass breathing session, and it was all through breathwork that we improved pretty much all of their sleep within an hour and a half of breathing practice and setting them on the right path.
That's great.
It was powerful.
Yeah, I'm sure I could do the same with my friends and get them to come and do a Qigong class with you. Maybe we'll have to do that, or maybe we'll do the ZestoloQi one. And I think I already know what we call it: ZestoloQi. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah. So what do you work out? Do you do Qigong and a workout every day?
Yeah, it's a mixture, really. I mean, I try to, but it's busy life trying to fit it all in. It's been quite nice during lockdown. My life has slowed somewhat, which has been quite good for me. Been doing quite a lot of running and just enjoying the outside when we can because the weather's been so good. And a bit of cold water swimming.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So that's brilliant because I'm integrating breathing and Qigong with that, and the cold water swimming has been perfect.
So kind of Wim Hof style, cooling down a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. If you've done any of the Wim Hof stuff, sometimes they do those. It's very Qigong-esque moves that they do to warm the body up. So I do versions of that and some twisting stuff, which is great.
No, I've had him on ZestoloQi, and I think he's absolutely brilliant. And you're right, it is very Qigong-like, isn't it? His movements, yeah.
So I'd like to ask him where he got that one from. It's a Tai Chi Qigong feel, but he knows what his body feels like. It's really an energizing move, gets the blood pumping, and just makes you feel really good, connecting your movement with the breath.
Yeah. And how did you get into Qigong?
So you have met my good friend Katie Brindle on the podcast a few times.
Yeah.
So she was a client of mine. I was a personal trainer, and as I'm sure you've had on the podcast, you'll know that she doesn't really stop speaking. So she continually talks. Even when she's running on the treadmill, she wouldn't stop talking. But that was great because she was telling me all these amazing things about Chinese medicine. And I fell in love. It just made so much sense to me. And so I decided that, I was a personal trainer anyway, and I did sports massage. I thought, right, I'll first dabble and I'll do a Qi massage course, which is Chinese acupressure massage. So I can learn a bit about the meridians and things.
Great.
And on that course, they taught us a few really basic moves for Qigong, so that if you're treating someone who's ill, you protect your own energy and you don't get sick yourself. And I was so amazed at these very basic moves that I learned, which I didn't really understand because there was a Chinese guy teaching us them, and his English was really, really poor, so we didn't understand the small parts of the move. But even doing the moves, and I knew I was doing them wrong, I still had an amazing benefit. And I thought, okay, there's definitely something in this. And so from then onwards, about 8 years ago, I started studying, and I haven't looked back since. And it's been an amazing practice that I've used with loads of my clients over the years, who would never normally think of anything like Qigong, who come to see me for personal training and want to kind of lose weight or increase their muscle mass or train for an event. And we've added Qigong in the breathwork, and it's transformed the way that they look at their health and fitness.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And what's next? What's the progression for someone like me who's, interested in it, does the odd workout at home? I've now done the 12 rivers with you. How can I develop this and make sure that it kind of sticks, but I also I'm still interested by it?
So once we've done the 12 Rivers course with me, there is every weekend a flow class, which is essentially the moves that we do them in different ways, and we help educate people into how to go deeper with their practice. There's that side of things. And the next course I'm releasing in the coming months is something called Between Heaven and Earth, which is an amazing, amazing practice for connecting your body and grounding yourself. You're literally you are the conduit between heaven and earth, and it's all about balancing your energy. Really quite a powerful practice. And then post that, we're working on something quite exciting at the moment with the guys at Hey You. We're going to be creating a bit more of a health and wellness site for Qigong and meditation and things. So there's some really exciting stuff to come on that with more dynamic styles of Qigong, which has been more like fitness based. So moving the body, getting the body up a bit more of a sweat, like you would find in more of a Western practice, but combining that with the philosophies and ethos of Chinese medicine and Qi Gong.
Yeah, that sounds
and then
great.
After that, going deeper, you can always go to see my master himself, but you can find him online. He's a guy named John Monroe, and he's got a company called Long White Cloud Qigong, and he runs amazing courses. So that's where I learnt my stuff.
Yeah, I've checked him out. You mentioned him, and Katie mentioned him when I met her. Well, one of the times I met her, and I've seen some of his videos online. He's got some stuff on YouTube, hasn't he, as well? What? And I know he's got books out as well. I mean, obviously, something I ask everyone on this podcast is, what is one book that you would recommend? Is there a specific book that people would love about Qigong?
Do you know what? It's very difficult to say because there are so many books out there, but a lot of them are really confusing. Chinese medicine is typically very confusing, and it's quite a lot of depth. So if you're someone who's never touched Qigong before, to read these books, it can be quite off-putting quite quickly. And I would say that John Monroe's 12 book is very, very simple and very easy to read. That's one reason why I gravitated towards him.
Yeah, so it's called 12 Rivers, is it?
It's called 12 Rivers.
Yeah.
It's by John Monroe.
Yeah.
And the reason why I would say that book is I gravitated towards his style because it was simple and it made sense. The same reason that actually Katie Brindle's got a lot of traction in what she's doing is because she can dissect a lot of the confusing things and help people to understand it. Qigong is surrounded in mystery for many reasons that they actually wanted it to be quite mysterious because you'd have to spend years studying it to be able to understand it. Well, we want our quick bits of information in the West, so that's a great way of learning through John Monroe and through the stuff that Katie does. Katie's got a great book which has got some Qigong moves in it as well, called Yang Sheng, if you've read that one. Yeah,
I have. I've got a copy of that here. You're right, though, aren't you? It's all about making information easy to digest, preferably fun as well. The great teachers have such a knack of it, don't they? It's almost like you can't learn that skill of being a good communicator sometimes. Some people have just got it. And I think I really hope that anything I can ever do to help you guys, and, once you bring out that platform, let me know, because I think it sounds absolutely brilliant and I'll definitely use it, especially the kind of more fitness-based stuff. That's a brilliant idea as well. And it is one of those areas where, type Qigong into YouTube and it's quite hard to work out which video to watch. You could be the king of Qigong in about 6 months' time, I think.
Well, possibly. I mean, there's so many people out there doing Qigong, but I just find, and this is the great gap in the market for what I'm doing, is it's just not relatable. Like I say, those books, unless you're really into Qigong, you're going to really struggle to read them. And, we've got to get people into the market and understanding it and enjoying it, and then they can go deeper. And I think what I'm doing and what we're doing with Hey You is interesting to people. It's sparking the interest. It's getting people moving and feeling really good. And then if they want to go deeper, they can find these higher level practices. But for a lot of people, they don't need to know all the information. They just want to be told, do these few moves, breathe a bit better, and you're going to feel great. And that's what's captured everyone's imagination so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's great exercise. There's also definitely a spiritual element. What do your mates think of it all?
It's always quite entertaining bringing it up. I play rugby, so some of the guys at the rugby club are always like, what are you on about? Like, they saw me online with a bamboo tapper hitting myself the other day. They're like, what are you up to now? And what's going on? I mean, but a lot of them, they I think probably the first few years I was doing Qigong, they didn't really think much of it, but it's stuck with me for 8 years now. And they, I run a few gyms, so I like to think they will respect me for my knowledge in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And I think they're all starting to believe it more now. And a few of them have joined on my 12 Rivers course. It's been great to have them on board, and they've really, really enjoyed it. So that's definitely helped to sway the mind of others. And a few more people are messaging me now saying, okay, what's this Qigong stuff you're up to? Let's see if I can get involved.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, listen, I've mentioned this before on ZestoloQi, but obviously I've been at Sky for 15 years now. And I've always been the one who's at Sky, but does that NLP selfie help stuff as well at the same time. And actually, over the years, more and more people have sought me out and said, actually, I'm quite interested. He's taught me a little bit more into this, and I might get involved in that. And I've been listening to your podcast on this. And it's nice to see, because I don't think it's just them getting to know me better. I think it's changing attitudes as well. It's all right to be a rugby player and do a bit of Qigong these days, and it might not have been 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, a guy who I played rugby with like 10, 15 years ago, maybe quite a long time ago, I was playing rugby with him. And I never thought he'd be one to message me. And he dropped me a message on Instagram the other day saying, I've seen these things. Do you think this would help some of my old rugby injuries, my old niggles? I'm quite interested in getting involved. Great. And it's those people I never ever would come to it. But if I'm making it relatable, because I'm a fairly normal bloke, I play rugby, still go out drinking with mates, I still go to the gym, it makes it approachable for people. And that's like, okay, well, if he's doing it, that's all right. I can probably get on board as well.
Yeah. And that's, that is the power of what you're doing. That's really cool. Yeah. That's probably one of the reasons that I enjoyed taking your course. It was, I don't know if there's more female teachers of Qigong than male. I don't really know, but I certainly, it did feel quite a masculine practice, so I definitely enjoyed it. So the final question is, what is one tip that you would offer people for living with more energy and vitality and ZestoloQi?
Yeah, I like that. ZestoloQi.
Yeah.
After everything we've spoken about and everything I said about the breath, it has to be getting a breathwork practice. Now, I'm not always just talking about meditation. I feel that meditation is actually quite tough for a lot of people to get their head around. We live such busy lives. Like you said earlier, you're really in your brain a lot of the time. So I just teach some people some very basic breathing exercises that it can be done anywhere. And they're exercises that you can't do badly. A lot of people, if they've done a meditation and they haven't gone into it very well and they've stayed in their mind too much, they'll come at the end of that and go, well, that was rubbish. And then they start to build up negative barriers to the meditation. So breathing exercises, focusing on breathing into different areas of the body. So we did this on the course. We did belly breathing, kind of 5 minutes of belly breathing, focusing on expanding into that area and controlling that area alone. 5 minutes of chest breathing, expanding just into the chest, finding range and strength in that breathing area. And then putting those areas together in what's called an accentuated natural breath. Belly breathe into the belly, into the chest, and then out from the chest, out from the belly, a bit like a wave going up and down the body. If you can gain control of your breath, you can make huge changes in your life very, very simply, and it's free.
Yeah, that's great. Arron, where can people find out more about you and everything you are offering in terms of Qigong?
Okay, so my website is arronqigong.com. I sort of rhyme there. But Arron is spelled A-R-R-O-N. Qi is Q-I, and Gong is G-O-N-G. And then I'm on Instagram, which is Arron_Qigong. So if you want to have a dabble in Qigong, I'm online on Instagram every Tuesday and Thursday evening with a free class on the live, which is at 6:40 p.m. So you can have a little taster there. And then if you want more information, go to the website and sign up for the 12 Rivers.
Yeah, great. And then I would ask anyone, if they do get in touch, mention ZestoloQi if you've heard Arron on ZestoloQi. And if there's enough people sign up, then we will run a ZestoloQi workshop, and I'll get involved as well. I'll do it again. It'd be great. Thanks so much. Honestly, I'm really loving doing the 12 Rivers. I'll definitely get involved in the Heaven and Earth and everything else that you offer. And it's been, I've for a long time wanted to get more involved in Qigong, and I am loving it. So thank you very much for that.
Excellent. I'm so glad you've enjoyed the practice and that you're doing it so regularly. It's great to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I was supposed to be, we're recording this on the week of Glastonbury, and I was supposed to be seeing Katie this week in Somerset. We had Glastonbury tickets. So hopefully next year, and maybe when we're down your way, we'll come and say hello to you as well.
Yeah, I probably would have been joining you then, because I normally go to Glastonbury with Katie as well.
Oh, it would have been next year.
That's a shame.
Hey, next year.
But it's raining Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so don't worry.
Fine. So it's better that it was cancelled. Arron, great to talk to you, and thanks again. Thank you to Arron, and thank you for listening to ZestoloQi. Arron did follow up after our interview and got in touch with me, and he wanted to correct the book title. It's John Munro's book, but the title of the book is Qi Gong Foundation Practices. So just a slightly different title. And actually, I'd look on Amazon, and John's got a few books out. So that's the one that he wants to recommend on this podcast, Qi Gong Foundation Practices. If you sign up with Arron, do let me know. And also mention ZestoloQi to him when you sign up. ZestoloQi. I know I've used that pun enough times. I think we're going to leave that one now. Also, the other thing I would like to hear from you is if you do an antibody test and you think the results are a little bit strange, like ours were,
I am interested in this concept of the antibody test and whether it works particularly well or not. The government came out at the start and said, great news, we've tested these antibody tests and 2 of them are 100% effective. And then you dig into the data and it turns out that they've only tried these antibody tests on 90 people and actually 6 of them came back wrong. I'm not making that up either. Well, I did read it in the Daily Mail, so listen, thank you for listening to Zestology. Yeah, do let me know if you've had some erroneous results there, and we'll try and come back to that in future podcasts with some of the experts and the scientists that we've been getting on with relation to coronavirus. I've got another hacks episode coming up in a few weeks' time, which I think you'll enjoy as well. And that's one of my solo episodes. And I've also got an episode coming up with Tim Biohacker, Tim Gray, the bloke who started the Health Optimization Summit in London. He really goes for it. I mean, I'm not going to say he's extreme, because a lot of the stuff that he does I do as well, but he goes for it. He doesn't hold back, and it's kind of like a day in the life. We're going to be looking at all his favourite hacks around his flat, everything he's got kind of laid out. And a quick reminder, this podcast is brought to you by Magnesium Breakthrough. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it is magnesium. Most supplements only contain 1 or 2 forms of magnesium, but Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7. So you have to buy 7 different pots of magnesium. You can just get 1 or 2 pots. And you might be able to hear a lot of runners jogging past me. It's been very much jogging central around here over the last few months since the whole virus thing and people not being able to go to the gym. And if you're doing a lot of physical exercise, you probably are losing a lot of magnesium, and you might want to look into supplementing with the same supplement that I use, Magnesium Breakthrough. I've actually been using all sorts of magnesium supplements for years, and it really helps with my sleep. But this one is a good one. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best that I've kind of experienced. All 7 forms of magnesium, and if you're in the UK, you can go to bioptimizers.co.uk and use the code ZestoloGi10. So if you're in the UK, go to bioptimizers.co.uk, use the code ZestoloGi10, and if you're in North America, go to magbreakthrough.com/zestology, where there are some excellent deals on there. Okay, so magbreakthrough.com/zestology. If you're in anywhere else in the world, you'll see a picture of me on that page as well, and a little bit more about magnesium, a couple of good videos as well. It's a good page, that. So use the coupon code ZestoloGi10 whenever you buy Magnesium Breakthrough, and you'll get a little chunk of change off. Thanks for listening. See you next time.